we're pitting 50 of Nintendo's most iconic characters up against each other in the Squid Game and seeing who'd come out on top.
Welcome to the Squid Game. We're excited for everyone to play.
Today's roster of contestants is as follows: Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Captain Toad, Bowser, Jr., Yoshi, Kamek, Wario, Waluigi, Daisy, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, King K. Rool, Link, Zelda, Midna, Tetra, Ganon, Skull Kid, Samus, Ridley, Ravenbeak, Pikachu, Red, stand-in for Pokemon Trainer in general, Charizard, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Mewtwo, Olimar, Captain Falcon, Isabelle, KK, Slider, Tom Nook, Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, Bandana, Waddle Dee, Taranza, Magalar, Inkling, Fox, Falco, Slippy Toad, Peppy Hair, Starwolf, Ness, Lucas, Marth.
The following are the ground rules in this Squid Game. Number 1, no outside allies or sidekicks. 2, no outside weapons, with the sole exception of any equipment needed to survive. Number 3, no magic. 4, natural abilities are allowed. The first game is red light, green light. You may move forward when it shouts green light, stop when it shouts red light. If your movement is detected afterwards, you will be eliminated.
Speed, composure, and general athletic ability will be your best friends in this round, so with that, let's get to the characters who pass with flying colors. Mario and Bowser would both pass this game easily. One of them is fast enough to repeatedly kidnap princesses, and the other is fast enough to repeatedly catch up with the guy who keeps kidnapping princesses. Speaking of which, characters who frequently tag along on Mario's adventures, like Princess Peach, Daisy, and Yoshi, are safe as well. We'll also reluctantly say that Luigi passes, albeit only by hiding behind Daisy, since the first gunshot would definitely freak him out. We have to give plenty of credit to other heroes who've been on their share of speed-oriented adventures over the years. Link has traversed distant lands, Kirby has warped across the galaxy, and Donkey and Diddy Kong have survived countless natural disasters to save their bananas. But what about characters who are less obvious winners? Some would say Ridley is just too big to win this game. I say Ridley is actually surprisingly calculating for an evil alien dragon, so he'll manage just fine. If you've played as him in Smash, you'd probably assume that King Dedede wouldn't make it past this round, but in the Kirby games, he's fast enough to rival Kirby and keep up with him on their adventures. Finally, Pikachu's tiny size and high speed make him a pretty clear-cut winner in this game. Unfortunately though, there are a few losers. The first one to go is the malevolent Magic Koopa, Kamek.
Player eliminated.
Since Kamek uses magic in combat and usually moves around by flying on a broom, he'd be one of the characters most out of his element here. Even if that weren't the case, we could see Bowser ordering him to act as a shield for Junior. Either one of these outcomes would seal his fate. Slippy Toad slips away this round too.
Player eliminated.
While most of the other players would be freaked out at this point already, poor Slippy would be one of the most affected. He already has a ton of aerial combat experience under his belt, so hearing gunshots in general would probably startle him pretty badly. Like, oh god, not here too! That sort of mindset. Up next on the chopping block is Skull Kid.
Player, you have been eliminated.
The Skull Kid is not only a kid, but he's a kid who has a very realistically poor handle on his emotions. Whether it was panicking after the first gunshot or not really grasping the severity of the situation, Skull Kid sadly doesn't have the composure to win this game. And the last elimination for this round is Isabelle.
Player eliminated.
The characters in Animal Crossing live in perhaps the most cutesy, unproblematic world in video game history. Even Dreamland has the occasional eldritch horror to deal with, but Animal Crossing is peaceful all around, so hearing a gunshot and seeing a corpse wouldn't bode well for any of them, but especially the overworked, soft-hearted Isabelle.
46 out of 50 players remain. Let's move on to the next game, Honeycomb. Players must cut out the shape from their cookies. Those who break their cookie or run out of time will be eliminated.
Patience, steady hands, and artistic skills will come in handy here, as will general resourcefulness and creativity. Any player who's good with a sword or another sharp object has an advantage in this round. Marth, Meta Knight, Bandana, Waddle Dee, and Link would win this game easily. Given their extensive experience with party minigames, Mario and the majority of his friends would be able to pass this round pretty easily too. Our initial instinct was that Kirby and King Dedede would lose this round. These two literally had a contest to see who could eat the most snacks while running, so I'm sure they would have wasted no time eating some of these cookies, but thankfully for them, while neither of them are super precise, they'd both be able to count on their buddies Meta Knight and Bandana D to help them out. Who said the power of friendship is overrated? The power of family is strong too though. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong adorably playing the Switch in their idle animations indicates not only product placement, but that they're able to do a lot of things that humans could do with their hands. Tack on their extensive Mario Party experience, and we think they'd make it past this round just fine. You might think Bowser Jr.'s short temper would make him a surefire loser this round, but Bowser is a shockingly intelligent villain for a guy who basically boils down to a big spiky fire turtle man, so we think he'd be able to keep it together for his boys' sake. Some of the other calculating villains in Nintendo's lineup would also be able to pass this round, like Ganondorf, who's been itching for world domination for decades, and Ravenbeak, who pretty much pulled the strings behind everything that happened in Metroid Dread. Characters with unique non-magical abilities could put them to use here as well. Squirtle could use his water to soften the cookie enough to carve more easily, Charizard could heat up his needle to get his shape carved in time, and even Tyranza could use his 6 hands to make sure that shape gets carved precisely. Finally, let's give a shout out to the characters who have cool, collected enough personalities to get through this round. KK Slider and Funky Kong come to mind since they're always laid back and relaxed about basically everything. Fox and Peppy Hair also have years of space combat experience, so compared to shooting down Andross's ships, carving a shape out of a cookie would be a piece of cake. I guess a cookie. But not every player this round is so lucky. While 2 of the remaining Star Fox team members managed to fly another day, Falco is down for the count.
Player eliminated.
As the cockiest member of Team Star Fox, Falco is definitely the type of guy who would vehemently refuse help because of his ego, only to end up messing up because he was so determined to show off his cookie cutting skills. Hands off my cookie, Falco, you're done for today. The next one to go is Ridley.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Being a huge dragon who makes even Bowser look tiny in comparison, Ridley's high intelligence wouldn't save him from the fact that he probably wouldn't even be able to hold that needle, let alone precision carve a shape with it. And as much as it breaks our hearts, we have to say goodbye to Luigi.
Player eliminated.
Look, Luigi has courage. Nobody in their right mind would deny that. No matter how much he's absolutely shaking, Luigi will step up to save the day when he's needed. The thing is though, shaking in and of itself would pretty much spell his doom here. Sorry Luigi, you had a good run, but this game just isn't your strong suit.
43 players remain. It's time for our next game, 6-legged pentathlon. The rules are as follows. Players will split up into groups of 5, tie their legs together, and move in tandem around a track. Every 10 meters, one player will play a mini-game until it is completed, with each member playing once. The goal is to complete all games in the allotted time, repeating each one until it is complete.
So here are the mini-games. Dakji, throw a paper tile at the ground to flip over another paper tile. Flying Stone, throw a small stone at another small stone and knock it down. Gonggi, a traditional game of Korean jacks. Spinning Top, Jeggy Kick, a jeggy in the air 5 times in a row, kinda like hacky sack. Balance, composure, cooperation, and most importantly, general gaming prowess are the most important characteristics for this game. That is, for those popular enough to find a team in the first place. This will be the point of the game where alliances and teams start to be formed. Given how used they are to throwing, spinning, or kicking things, DK, Diddy Kong, and Funky Kong would all have the reflexes and general gaming skills required to win this game. Seriously, these 3 are part of arguably the toughest platformer series in Nintendo's lineup, so the Squid Game might even feel like a step down for them in terms of challenge. Other characters who have experience with precise aiming, like Ness, or even firing weapons, like Samus, Link, and Zelda, are in good hands here. And you may doubt us on Zelda, but just remember her alter ego as Sheik, whose precision aim with her kunai might not do as much damage in Smash, but would make her easily able to pass whatever game she decides to play here. We also think of King K. Rool as a strong contender. Given that legendary spike he has in Smash Ultimate, he might be the best pick for playing Dakji. If we're gonna talk about spikes though, Mario is another strong player here, and since he has a spin-off for pretty much every sport there is, he'll probably be able to adapt to any of the games should he need to. Kirby's main 5 are all in good standing here as well. Alongside their great King Dedede, Kirby, Meta Knight, and Bandana Waddle Dee spend plenty of time in Return to Dreamland Deluxe, not just saving the day, but also playing some minigames in Merry Megaland. They also have the skills and cooperation to excel in this game, and since Magalore is an expert at designing games, he's definitely safe here, even if he might have a few apologies to make before teaming up with his old buddies. That might sound like it's leaving one of our Kirby contenders out, but don't worry, Tyranza is safe too. The guy with 6 hands is gonna be by far the best pick for Gonggi out of our remaining competitors, but not every character is that much of a good pick for any one game, so being able to cooperate with others is key for them. Calm, friendly faces like KK Slider, manipulative masterminds like Ravenbeak, and characters who combine both of those traits, like Tom Nook, are safe in this round thanks to their ability to cooperate with and or manipulate others. But sadly, there are a few players who wouldn't be so lucky. The first one to lose in this round is Olimar.
Player eliminated.
Olimar is the definition of just a little guy. He isn't particularly weak for his size, but competing with giants like Bowser, Ganondorf, and even King Dedede would make him look pretty puny in comparison. We don't think a lot of people would be willing to adopt him onto their team in such tense situations, not because none of them are kind enough, but because those who are kind enough have people of their own to protect. With how much all of these guys have been through, basically everyone would be able to win this round, so that leaves the ones who probably wouldn't be able to find a team. Sorry to say it, but Wario and Waluigi are done for.
Players eliminated.
Now These two do seem to be good buddies who bond over their love of greed, mischief, and general chicanery, but they also are rarely willing to cooperate with anyone if there isn't money on the table. Thankfully for them, there is money on the table, but unthankfully for them, nobody would want to team up with these two. The only people we could see considering an alliance with these two would be Mario and Bowser, but Mario has Peach, Yoshi, Daisy, and Captain Toad on his team. Bowser has Bowser Jr. with him, and he'd prefer to team up with other heavy hitters like Ganondorf and K. Rool. But while they may be eliminated, Wario is canonically immortal, and Waluigi has never been explicitly stated as not being immortal, so they'll live to cause some chaos another day, somewhere else.
40 players remain. Our next game is Mingle. Here are the rules. Players will stand on a rotating platform in the center of a large circular room. At any given moment, a number will be called out, at which point players have 30 seconds to get into groups of said number and secure a room for themselves. Any player who does not find a room with the correct number of players will be eliminated.
Speed, strength, composure, and charisma will be your best friends here. We also need to take into account which characters are the most loyal to their friends, which are most likely to sacrifice themselves for their sake, and which ones would be willing to sabotage others for the sake of saving their own butts. Bowser and Bowser Jr. would pass this round easily. As one of the most physically intimidating players in the running, Bowser wouldn't have any problem securing a room for himself and Jr. We could totally see Jr. riding on top of his papa's shell, spitting fireballs at anyone who got in their way. Such an adorable, terrifying dynamic. Heavy hitters like King K. Rool, Ravenbeak, and Ganondorf wouldn't have any trouble with either securing a room or knocking anyone who got in their way, well, out of their way. While not quite as ruthless, other powerhouses like Wolf and Captain Falcon would definitely put their speed and general swollenness to use here. Some of the strong competitors could also protect the weaker ones. Samus had an adorable bond with Pikachu in Smash Bros. Brawl, so we don't think either of them would let anything happen to each other. And it hardly needs to be said, but Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong would stick together until the bitter end. But it's safe to say that this round will come with more eliminations than any of the previous. The first elimination, and the most noble so far, goes to the great King Dedede.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Kirby in the Forgotten Land proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Dedede is 100% willing to sacrifice his life for the sake of his subjects. Dedede was willing to fight an entire army just to buy a single Waddle Dee time to escape. So we think he'd spend the majority of the game buying time for his smaller friends to get into a room. Dedede definitely willing to stay behind if it meant they could live. From one royal to another, Marth is out as well.
Player eliminated.
He's arguably the closest thing Nintendo has to a pure good protagonist, always willing to lay his life down to protect others. Given that there are children in the game, like Ness, Lucas, and even Bowser Jr., Marth would definitely be more concerned with saving them than saving himself. Red would be more than willing to die before he lets any of his Pokemon perish, even if his loyal pets would hate seeing him sacrifice himself for their sake. We doubt that would stop him. The same goes for Yoshi, who, let's be real, we've all accidentally dropped for the sake of a higher jump at some point. It's okay, guys, he forgives you. Now let's move on to another of Kirby's, Taranza.
Player eliminated.
No amount of money would be able to bring his beloved queen back, and deep down, Taranza knows this. We think he'd be one of the most willing characters to give up his spot in the game for someone else's sake, as sad as that is to think about. The next to go is Princess Zelda.
Player eliminated.
Looking at how she was willing to give up her life to save Midna, it seems like it'd be second nature for Zelda to prioritize saving Link and the others instead of herself, especially given the fact that she's a literal reincarnated goddess, meaning that she's right up there with Wario as one of Nintendo's strongest characters. Now to say farewell to the last two Animal Crossing reps, Tom Nook and KK Slider.
Players eliminated.
KK Slider is far too laid back to give it his all in this game, and as for Tom, well, we're sure he'd do his best. We're just equally sure that he'd end up getting body checked by Bowser or Ganon, or honestly most of the cast. But considering that he's basically just a chubby raccoon, it's actually kind of impressive that he's made it this far, so good for him. For the last elimination of this round, we have Funky Kong.
Player eliminated.
He definitely could win this round, but come on. Funky's just way too laid back and nice to screw over other people to save himself. Plus, he literally sells one-ups to the gang for a living, so something tells me he'll be perfectly fine with being eliminated, you know, quote unquote. We've just about reached the halfway point, which means it's time to recap the surviving contestants. Mario, Princess Peach, Captain Toad, Bowser, Bowser Jr., Daisy, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, King K. Rool, Link, Midna, Tetra, Ganon, Samus, Ravenbeak, Pikachu, Charizard, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Mewtwo, Captain Falcon, Kirby, Midnight, Bandana, Waddle Dee, Magolor, Inkling, Fox, Pipihare, Star Wolf, Ness, Lucas.
31 players remain. Congratulations to everyone who made it this far. Now it's time for everyone to get some rest. Lights out.
This just in, they will not, in fact, be getting some rest. In this season, players are able to vote on whether or not they want to continue the games after each round, wearing a patch that confirms which side each of them is on. Tensions are high, alliances are straining, and people are this close to snapping, so it's time for a good old-fashioned brawl. Since this is an unofficial bonus round, it's also gonna be the one time where powers and the like are allowed, which means some of you guys might want to hide. Aguilar is definitely strong enough to defend himself, but given the butt kicking he got from Kirby in his first appearance, it's safe to say he's learned his lesson, so he'd probably prefer to hide behind his magic interdimensional shield instead. Other players in hiding would include Ness and Lucas, whose psi powers would protect them if necessary, but hopefully just hiding would be enough to protect these literal children from being the targets of aggression here. We also have to mention Inkling, who could basically just turn her into her squid form and hide under a bed or something. And of course, it hardly needs to be said that the big guys will be just fine in this round. Whether they start fights or just finish them, characters like Bowser, Ravenbeak, Ganondorf, and King K. Rool would make short work of their opponents. The same goes for some heroes as well. Mario, Link, Meta Knight, Samus, and Donkey Kong would all go to bat to protect their friends as well as innocent people in general. Unfortunately, not every hero was quite so lucky. Mario's good buddy Captain Toad has tracked his last treasure.
Player eliminated.
Man, we love this little dude, and a big part of the reason why is his courage. Sure, he can be a little cowardly, but at the end of the day, he routinely gets in over his head just to help Mario out on his adventures. Unfortunately, with the darkness of night and the exhaustion of sleep deprivation hanging over them, Captain Toad couldn't count on the already preoccupied Mario to save him from the fight he'd end up getting into with Ganondorf or K. Rool or somebody. Like, the guy can't even jump, man. Another valiant fighter to fall here is Peppy Hare.
Player eliminated.
As the last member of Star Fox left in the running, other than Fox himself, Peppy wouldn't hesitate to fight for his friends. But sadly, his old age and determination to protect his best friend's son would lead to his doom here, if only he'd just done a barrel roll. Lastly, Tetra isn't the type to turn down a fight, and she isn't the type to go down without one either. Being the leader of a pirate crew, despite being way younger than them, she'd know how to rally people to fight together, so as few innocent lives would be lost as possible. The thing is, though, Tetra is facing off against monsters like Bowser and King K. Rool, so she's a little bit in over her head in this particular scenario.
Good morning, players. 28 players remain. It's time for the next game, Marbles. You will play the game of your choice with your partner. The player to take all 10 marbles wins. The loser will be eliminated.
Since everyone plays this game in teams of 2, that means half of the remaining roster will be eliminated. To survive, you'd need to be skillful enough at the game to win, manipulative enough to trick your opponent, or, most importantly, ruthless enough to do both. Ravenbeak passes this round effortlessly. Well, okay, maybe not effortlessly, but he definitely passes. This guy spent the entirety of Dread posing as Samus's own supercomputer ally, successfully tricking her until the very last moment. Inkling is all about fun and games, so I feel that she'd do well in this one, which would sadly spell the doom of her poor, unfortunate opponent, and being a ruthless warrior with a penchant for world domination, Ganondorf wouldn't have any problem winning his match either. But at this point, we have to consider how many characters will still have allies, or even rivals left in the game that they'd likely be playing with, so it's time to talk about eliminations. Princess Peach is out.
Player eliminated.
With only a few Mushroom Kingdom residents left in the game, Peach and Mario definitely would have teamed up, and while neither of them would have been able to win or self-sabotage, it would be Peach who's more likely to give up her life for the sake of the people she loves. The next elimination just so happens to be her #1 fan, Bowser.
Player eliminated.
Bowser is, by all accounts, a ruthless warlord who wants nothing more or less than intergalactic domination, and Princess Peach. He wants her to. But he does have one soft spot, Bowser Jr. Bowser would do a lot of horrific things to save his own tail, but we think the one place he'd draw the line is hurting Jr. Plus, Peach is eliminated, which kind of puts a damper on his whole life's ambition. Daisy is also out.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Man, this is not a good round to be a Mario character, is it? Legend says that Daisy walked up to Inkling and said, "Hi, I'm Daisy. I like your hair. Let's team up." Daisy would immediately regret her choice of teammate. DK Donkey Kong was here.
Player eliminated.
You know the drill by now. He teamed up with Diddy, found out about all the stuff he did at his parties, and oh, sorry, wrong Diddy. But yeah, Donkey Kong would definitely give up his shot at the prize to protect his little buddy, so this is where we say farewell to the King of Swing. On a similar note, Samus is out.
Player eliminated.
She'd most likely team up with little Pikachu and would not have the heart to win against him, no matter how much the little guy insisted. It's a terrible day for rain, isn't it?
It's not raining. Yes, it is.
Midna is the last of Link's friends in the running, and since she probably feels indebted to him and Zelda for all the help they gave her, we think she'd be more than willing to throw the game, even if she could easily win. Falling into a very similar category is Aguilar.
Player, you have been eliminated.
Aguilar has all the skills he'd need to win this round, sleight of hand, manipulation, etc., but given the genuine remorse he felt after betraying Kirby and friends, we doubt that he'd be willing to go back to his old ways, especially since he'd almost definitely end up teaming up with Kirby himself. Now, it's a little tough to say which other Kirby character would lose this round, but we're gonna go with Bandana Waddle Dee.
Player eliminated.
Since Kirby and Aguilar teamed up, that leaves Meta Knight and Waddle Dee. Meta Knight definitely wouldn't cheat his opponent, given how much he loves a good, fair fight, but he'd also be hesitant to go down without a fair match. Even if Meta Knight offered mercy, Bandana Waddle Dee would probably insist on a fair match, so neither of them had to feel guilty over the outcome. Rest assured, little friend, you will be avenged. Maybe, I don't know, there are still 2 rounds left. Another fair match would be held between longtime rivals Wolf and Fox.
Players eliminated.
But we think Wolf would be the more impatient, easily frustrated out of the two, so given Fox's cooler head, he'd take the W in this round. Charizard and Squirtle are this round's Pokemon eliminations.
Players eliminated.
Out of the remaining Pokemon, they seem to have the fewest ways to hide marbles, as opposed to Mewtwo, who's basically a god, and Bulbasaur, who has vine-like limbs he could bamboozle his rival with. In the match of Ness versus Lucas, we're gonna say that Lucas gets eliminated, since he seems a bit more soft-hearted than Ness. That leaves only 2 more players to be eliminated this round, and we're gonna go with Captain Falcon, who would probably get stuck with a very unlucky match like Ravenbeak, and King K. Rool, who despite his surprising tactical intelligence would definitely get tricked by other big bads like Ganon, who'd be the only ones willing to team up with him.
Only 14 players remain. It's time to move on to our penultimate game, Glass Stepping Stones. In this game, players will select numbers that determine the order in which they play.
The game is to cross a bridge made of 2 rows of glass tiles. One type of tile will break, the other will not. Unfortunately for those who picked low numbers, they'll basically be cannon fodder. Having a big ego would be your downfall in this game, since going first makes you less of a competitor and more of a test monkey to see which tiles are safe. Real quick, let's see who's still standing for the moment. Mario, Bowser Jr., Diddy Kong, Link, Ganondorf, Ravenbeak, Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Mewtwo, Kirby, Meta Knight, Inkling, Fox, Ness. The first few to be eliminated would be the ones who think the least about going first. The young, competitive Inkling would probably be the most enthusiastic about picking number 1, which would turn out to be a very bad choice, and we wouldn't forget about Bowser Jr., who would likely be right behind her, ready to win as quickly as possible so he could give a good curb stomping to the guys who eliminated his papa. I'm sure he appreciates the effort, Junior. Diddy Kong, Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Kirby, and Ness are the most naive, childlike competitors left in the running, with one of them being a literal child, so this is sadly the end of the line for them. I mean, they're probably gonna be okay since Kirby can fly, but still, now we have the characters smart enough to choose numbers in the middle of the pack, including Mario, Link, Ganondorf, and Fox. These 4 would be wise enough to pick a number in the middle so they could see what the game was about before playing, but not quite ruthless enough to risk choosing last. That leaves us with 3 tactical geniuses, Meta Knight, Ravenbeak, and Mewtwo. While all 3 of them have their strengths, the revenge of Meta Knight will sadly be cut short here.
Players eliminated.
Next to Ravenbeak, who succeeded in manipulating pretty much everything that happened in Metroid Dread, and Mewtwo, who can literally read people's minds, Meta Knight's incredible strength can't secure him anything more than a top 3 spot. But he gave us a noble showing, and we're sure the Great King himself would be proud.
With that, we've reached our final 2. Congratulations to Ravenbeak and Mewtwo. It's now time for the final round. Prepare for Squid Game.
Rules. In this game, 2 teams, or more often 2 opponents, must go up against one another, with one acting as a defender and the other as an attacker, with the attacker doing everything they can to reach the top of the court or the squid's head and touch it with their foot, with the defender doing whatever they can to stop them. Or at least that's how Squid Game is traditionally played. Here though, it's more of a battle to the death type of deal. Ravenbeak might mostly rely on armies and deception to do his bidding, but don't let that fool you. This guy is a force to be reckoned with. Seriously, I died like 50 times trying to beat him. That's probably on the lower end of my estimates though. Ravenbeak is capable of flight, has numerous weapons at his disposal thanks to that power suit of his, and can even flat out teleport from one side of the arena to the other, and that's not to mention his already superhuman strength and speed. The sheer range on this guy's lasers and his ridiculous endurance makes him a nearly insurmountable obstacle for almost anyone we saw in this competition today. But when it comes to speed, teleportation, and even outright strength, Mewtwo is a tough nut to crack. He can move faster than the speed of light, teleport with great precision, and this is the real kicker, control others' minds. Nothing is held back in this final round, so whether Mewtwo were to teleport to the squid's head or literally just force Ravenbeak to step out of the arena, it's tough to beat a guy who's capable of light speed, teleportation, and brainwashing.
So with that, we have to congratulate Mewtwo on his victory in today's Squid Game. Can't say we agree with his goals per se, but we can separate the art from the artist for now. Good job, Mewtwo.